Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. How are you this morning? I'm Reverend Tracy, and just delighted to welcome you to this community that meets currently online and soon to be in person. I know that we are together in consciousness, and that this community of love and friendship and fellowship is always connected. And I am delighted to connect with all of you this morning and to welcome any of you who might be tuning in for the first time. Please know that you are welcome here with us wherever you are on your spiritual path. I want to start by acknowledging and thanking our practitioners for having kept the high watch for this spiritual family. What they do is know the truth of our being, and we are a cohesive, prosperous, loving, friendly, joy-filled group of people. And it is in their knowing that we maintain the foundation of this spiritual community and truly can enjoy each other, even though it's virtual most of the time. I also want to thank our board and the team of people that are putting together all that it's going to take to move us back inside into the sanctuary. We're getting closer. We're shooting for the 1st of May to be in person once again, and stay tuned. We'll keep you posted on that. Now, what I'd like to do is get us started by getting us centered. So if you will, right where you are, take a deep breath and close your eyes, and know with me that this center point of the heart, this place within, this sanctuary, is filled only with love and truth and peace. And it is in this place that we meet with that knowing that there is only one spirit, one life, one mind, and we are that. So simply breathing into that space, we welcome practitioner Pat Richards to take us into our opening prayer.
Right here, right now, in this amazing new day, an amazing new day filled with love, light, and a fresh abundance of energy. Oh my gosh, what a morning it is. The sun is out, the air is crisp, the ocean breeze is blowing strongly and nicely. Kids are playing outside. Soccer fields are full. Oh my goodness, I'm just so excited to be in this space, and the energy and the love and the light is just amazing. Just breathe in all that goodness, all that God-filled light. Let it just surround you and uplift you. Breathe into that excitement of a fresh new day. What an abundance of energy there is out there, all for us. There's just so much overflowing goodness. Step into that and claim your truth. I'm so grateful to be here today, so grateful to be of service, and please join me in saying, and so it is. So my reading today is from the Joyous Abundance Journal, January 19th. It's called Making Space for Something New. I love moving, as weird as that may seem, because I pack up to move. When I pack up to move, I release things that I seem to have accumulated. Then I purge again when I unpack. Because we are constantly growing and evolving, things that expressed our lifestyle and inner essence earlier may not serve anymore. Sometimes we hang on to things because it's what we have and what we know. The problem is what we hang on to for long after that may stop serving us to become a reflection of who we are. We keep things for sentimental reasons, for nostalgia, or because of who gave them to us. Often we keep things because we don't think that we can have something new or different. Or we keep something because we can't stand the void of an empty space. So go ahead, toss it out, whatever you're hanging on to. Then live with the emptiness long enough to let spirit rush in and fill it in the most miraculous and beautiful ways. This is a powerful way to experience the abundance of the universe. Remember that the universe abhors that vacuum. Life will rush in to fill it in. And so it is.
Thank you. That was perfect. I remember moving often, as a matter of fact, and there is something about moving into that new space and being able to see all the possibilities before you put all the furniture in place, right? So, we're talking today about rearranging the furniture. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I want to start with a story about my parents. My folks used to live in a little house in Eagle Rock. And cute little house, and had a not really big rooms, but a nice living room, lots of trees, a full on kitchen, a sweet little dining room, and just a view for miles. And when they moved in, they set up a little table in the kitchen. There was a small eating area there. And what they also had, besides all the normal stuff, because they were both ministers, is they had a collection of over 5,000 books. So what they did was they left the dining room table in the dining room and took away most of the chairs and added a rug and a little color and built in shelves all around the walls of the dining room. And that room moved from something that they never would have used into a space they were in all the time, a library. They added a couple of easy chairs, a couple of lamps, and it was transformative. And this room, which had been between the kitchen and the living room, no longer took its identity from the kitchen as the dining room, but instead became an extension of the living room as the library. And I find that just fascinating because it's the same way in which we can shift the way we look at things in our own minds. When we change our viewpoint, where we're looking from, or when we change our expectation, or we simply open up to something that will have more meaning for us, we change our experience of life. If our life is the house that we live in, then it's telling our story, right? It's the story we say about who we are and how we want to live and the things we have on the walls. And all of that is putting together a perception that we have of ourselves and that we invite others into. And the thing about a house is that you can change the contents around, right? So the dining room can become the library, and that back bedroom can become your yoga studio. And in our thinking, that habitual way of looking at, oh, well, I never really have enough time to volunteer, can shift into, what, I'm just going to block out 2 hours every Saturday afternoon. And suddenly your experience changes, not because all that is around you have changed, but because the way you are looking at it and where you are looking from has changed. Why? Because maybe at this point in your life, you really value being of service. And in that value, in that sense of meaning, the way you think about things changes. So your experience changes. I came across this wonderful quote from Jeff Kober, my Buddhist blogger, and he writes this: "Our mind moves the facts of our life around, making different stories or the same story day after day, sometimes painting with clear, pure colors of our true self, and sometimes with the muddy pigments of our childhood, and sometimes a bit of both. What story are we telling ourselves today?" When we look back on what happened to us as we were growing up, we might still be telling the same story. If you received a lot of overbearing messages from someone who was critical of you, that little voice is probably still inside your head, chattering away and affecting your life today. But when we are self-aware, when we look within, when we look back with an understanding now of what happened then the meaning and the value of the story changes. And we ourselves then begin to live differently. We tell a story, and when we tell the story, we always want to be the hero, right? But a lot of times, especially those childhood stories, we're the victim, or we're a witness to someone else's story, or we're the observer of our own story. We take on these different roles as storyteller. But what fascinates me is the idea that something that is factual, that happened, can be understood so differently with that different self-awareness or perspective. So when I was in college, I did a year of study abroad, and I was in Vienna. And then there was a group of about 8 or 10 of us in this program. And my roommate was the same roommate I'd had in college, and I knew her family. I'd spent holidays with them, and they came out to visit right before the holidays at Christmas time while we were in school. And they wanted to do a little touring, of course, see their daughter. And I made the decision to tell them that I was gay. These people had invited me, I knew them, we were friendly, I felt comfortable with them. It was important to me. I was 19 or 20. This was a big deal. And the truth is, they didn't know what to do with that. And they were afraid for their daughter. And it didn't matter that my friend and I were perfectly clear that we were friends. I mean, that wasn't the point of the story at all. But that fear and concern and turmoil changed everything for both of us. Her parents pulled her out of the dorm. They talked to the dean. They really wanted me sent home. I was just confused because I just assumed that they would know and love me the way they always had, and they weren't able to. And so the decision was made not to send me home. What the dean did is had me made it so that I could transfer to the program in Paris. Now, I can tell that story as the victim. It wasn't fair. It wasn't reasonable. It wasn't even true, some of the things they were so afraid of. My friend didn't want me to leave. I didn't want to leave. And yet this decision was made without me. That puts me in the role of being at the mercy of the world. And in one sense, that's true. But when I look back with a greater understanding, when I look at the big picture, yes, I left my German speaking friends and my Viennese ballroom dance lessons, but I spent 5 months walking around the streets of Paris, learning a little French. And I was welcomed into that program. The dean of that program made it very clear to me they did not have a problem with my lifestyle. They had no problem with who I was. They made sure that I was introduced to 2 or 3 girls that became really good friends. And I got to see Nureyev dance while I was there. I mean, my time in Paris was magical. My understanding of that year has changed from the perspective I had when I was experiencing it to really getting the spiritual truth that life is for me, that I am always being raised up into something new and maybe scary, and maybe it doesn't seem right, but yet it serves me. And there's no point in me holding on to any kind of resentment or anxiety, because looking back now, I think, well, it was the early 80s. People didn't know any better. I'm grateful the guy didn't send me home. And in the moment, I told him that I understood why he was doing what he was doing, why he had to make some decision. But I also told him that I thought he was wrong, that it wasn't fair, that it wasn't real for me. Our sense of self and our own story evolves over time because we are always evolving. Choosing to see life from a spiritual perspective is always more expansive. When we're in it, and especially when we're in the depths of human emotion, our viewpoint is fairly narrow, and we can feel like we're trapped in this house we call life. But again, our understanding rearranges everything. It changes the way we think. It's the same process that happens when the kids' room decor of Batman posters. Well, some of us still have Batman posters, but of race cars and pink frilly dolls, or Superman gets to change into something a little more mature. Perhaps we move on to Wonder Woman, or we paint the room a soft blue instead of Barbie pink. You see, we are always evolving, and it's always showing up in our lives. And this is something that we have the ability to take charge of. When you think about it, every change brings a story, right? I mean, you get a new job, you've got a story in your head about what it's going to mean to you in your career and what your plans are. A relationship ends, and oh, there's lots of stories about that. You burn the toast, and there's a story that you tell yourself about what it means, or how you feel, or what you're going to do instead, or how the whole world's against you because the damn toaster doesn't work. We tell ourselves stories all the time. Now, it's easier to see when we know we're telling ourselves a story about someone on purpose. So, for example, my mom and I used to go to South Coast Plaza all the time, and we'd have lunch, and we'd always get the table right by the railing so we could watch all the people walking by. And we would make up stories about all the people walking by. There'd be this little, oh, look, they must be mother and daughter. Yeah, and look at her mom's face. She is not happy. Her daughter wants to buy that miniskirt. Her mom isn't having anything of it. Now, mind you, we couldn't hear a word they were saying, but the story was real to us. The only fact that was there was that the two women were walking by in front of us. Everything else was our interpretation, my viewpoint, my idea of what might be happening. And so the spiritual call is to know we do that so that we might choose our perspective consciously. Because the mind is hardwired to find meaning, to find value, to figure out what the purpose of something is. That's just the way we think. It's how we are creative, and it's how we navigate our world. But as Ernest Holmes reminds us always, and in many different ways, he says, never limit your view of life by past experience. Never limit our view. Never limit the way we look at life and think this is how it has to be by what it used to mean to us. Because the truth is, we change the meaning just like we change the decor of our bedroom, or we move the furniture around to create a different flow, a different atmosphere, a different sense of place. Like it said in the reading, we're always evolving and growing. And so our views also evolve and grow. What I want to know is, how is spiritual principle and truth showing up in my life right now? I want my story to be co-authored by spirit, not co-authored by the opinions and judgments and ideas of others, especially the people in my past. I want it to be my story. Now, what I notice right now is that spring is in the air. I'm sure you can feel it. And spring always says, go, move, get outside, grow something, do something new. And that energy is a motivator for us to wake up from that long winter and get back in the game, to re-engage. Let's just make sure that we're re-engaging in a new way based on who we are now. We have all changed this year. Everything's changed this year. So even though things are moving back in the direction of normal, whatever that is, I'm not going backwards. You're not going backwards. But we do want to consciously set a direction. We do want to channel our awareness. And the way to do that, I find that is most effective, is through appreciation. What do I appreciate now? What am I grateful for now? New Thought writer Fred Luskin, he wrote, if you view your mind as your house, it can teach you to control how much space you rent to your grievances. You are the proprietor. This is our opportunity to author something new. and to make sure that while we do not disown the parts of ourselves that were difficult or traumatic, that we do keep what is serving us, what we've learned, how we've been shaped, the things that we like that have come out of our lives up until this point, and let the rest go. So think about for a minute your first Science of Mind class. Maybe you took foundations, maybe at some point you took financial freedom, and somewhere in there we talked about abundance in a new way than you might have ever thought about it before. You know, you might have gone into class thinking that abundance was all about money. And by the end of class, you realize it's so much more than that. It's all of the things that we appreciate and are grateful for. But one of the exercises in both of those classes is how you pay bills. You know, it's a fact that we pay bills. But what it means to us has changed over time, especially in this philosophy. You might have started out being totally anxious and judgmental and in lack. I don't have enough. I don't know how I'm going to do it. There's no way I can do all this. Into a place of being grateful for what you can write the check for. And I know in my experience, and I'm assuming in yours, that changed my experience of abundance forever. First of all, it showed me that I was abundant. Second of all, it proved to me over and over and over again that what I am grateful for grows. So my ability to pay has expanded over the years and not contracted. And it has given me a new experience in life of how life flows, how abundance is a movement, what it means to be appreciative, and how that's changed my sense of my own self from yes, I do have enough to yes, I am enough. And once you know that, again, everything changes. So this is our house, this house I live in, this life I have. I get to choose the colors. I get to put flowers in the room. I get to add a rug. I get to move the clutter out of the way to create a sanctuary of sorts. But you have to be willing to give up the old story. You have to get rid of the good guy, bad guy scenario that's been playing over and over in your head forever. Raymond Charles Barker wrote, "Check your thinking even in the past hour. It will reveal where you stand in the hallways of mind." Because truth is, we can slip back into that old thinking unawares. We might not realize yet that something we think we know about life is really an opinion or someone else's idea. Or again, it's the story about rather than the experience of the life that we live. If our facts are like our furniture and our life is the house that we live in, then we can rearrange the furniture to create new meaning, to create new flow, to create a new sense of ease or welcome or appreciation when we walk into the room. The essence of this life is love. And when we remember that, then the house we live in is the love that we are. Jeff Kober says, there is one thing. This one thing is love. I am this one thing. This then is the background story to every other story we tell ourselves. So go ahead, clear out the clutter, let in the light, add a little color, move stuff around, create a new flow or atmosphere or feeling in the space, in the life that you inhabit. Really appreciate that you already have all that you need to co-write the next chapter of your life with spirit. It's your house. It's your choice. It's your life. Namaste. So if you will, join me in a moment of prayer. Closing your eyes and taking that deep breath and feeling this house that you live in, this body that you inhabit, sensing the space around you, seeing the light through your closed eyelids, reminding yourself that you are in and of this world, and yet you are so much more. For there is truly only one life, and that life is love. That life expresses as peace and order and balance and harmony. This life is the life of spirit, and it is my life also. It is the life of every individual. It is the life of all things, this energy of love that is about transformation and growth and blooming and becoming and moving easily and effortlessly. And so what I know is that this life is a life of abundance. That the appearances of the human and material world are just that, appearances. That beneath the drama, there is love. Beneath the relationships, there is love. Beneath the circumstances and the nightly news and the family picnics, there is love. And what I claim and know is my ability to see that love and experience it in ever greater ways. That this house I live in has a view from the highest point of consciousness. That this life we share is one of connection and joy and discovery and delight. And that in the midst of all that is so very human and so very seemingly disruptive and difficult and even painful, this connecting tissue of love and service and peace is the greater truth. The infinite possibilities of life unfold in ever new suggestions and ideas and chance meetings. Around every corner is a new opportunity. And the truth is, this story that I write, that I call my life, is ever open to new chapters, to plot twists, to that which is good, to that which is loving. And as it is true for me, it is true for all. For in spirit, there is life and only life. And this life is good, and I am grateful. This gratitude and appreciation for all that is already here, already known, simply expands all that is good. This gratitude that I feel for this story being written allows me to see and open and become and imagine the greatest yet to be for myself and for all people. For this life is one life, and this love is one love. And knowing that it is God in nature, that this that this unfolding happens in time and space at the direction of this divine intelligence, I release this word into universal law. For it is done as I believe. It is acted upon by that universe which always says yes. And I say yes to good. I say yes to God. And so it is. All right, so if you will, please join me in saying our affirmation. I'll say a line and I invite you to repeat after me. Today, I rearrange the facts of my life into a story of joy, opportunity, and abundance. I'll say it with you. Today, I rearrange the facts of my life into a story of joy, opportunity, and abundance. Life is good, and that's the truth. And so it is. All right, let me tell you about our invitations. You may want to join us on Wednesday night. Our very own Nisa Burrows is leading our gateway service at 7 p.m. via Zoom. She's giving a short talk called The Signs of Spring, Consciously Creating Renewal. There'll be a little discussion. There might be a little ritual, maybe a little meditation thrown in. It's going to be a lovely evening tapping into the power of spring and its promise of renewal. So do join us on Wednesday night at 7 for Gateway. And if you'd like, at 6:15, before that, there's a phone call with Nisa, which is always a beautiful meditation to get the evening started. So do come join us on Wednesday nights. All of the link information is in your weekly email and also on the website. And hey, just a reminder, when you get that e-blast on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, make sure you scroll down. There's all kinds of good information in there beyond that one first story. So take a look. One of the things you'll see when you look in there will be information about the class that Practitioner Mary is teaching called Unleash Your True Potential. That class start date has been moved out 1 week. So instead of starting this Tuesday, it's starting next Tuesday, the 20th. That's to give some of you time to get signed up because you said you wanted to take it. So please talk to Marianne. She'll make sure you have all the information you need. And that's going to be a great class about using the power of your mind to create what it is you'd like to see in your life. Don't we all need that, right? Next week, next Sunday, we will be meeting in person in the meditation garden at 10:30 for our service. So again, we're still keeping all the safety protocols in place. So we ask that you wear a mask. Don't come if you don't feel well. Just watch it from home because we will post it on Monday. But you can come in person if you'd like. Bring your camp chair, bring your coffee. We'll set up on the lawn and have service together on Sunday at 10:30 in the garden next Sunday, which is the 18th. After that, we'll be online again, and here come the trumpets. We plan on being back in the sanctuary the first Sunday in May. So just a few short weeks away. Again, thank you to the teams that are putting together everything we're going to need to be able to do this safely, to be able to continue broadcasting our service and having that posted, and to make sure that we have enough room for everyone to be there and to see each other. I want to thank all of you who were able to come out for Easter Sunday. It was a delightful outdoor parking lot service. And although it certainly didn't look like what it looks like when we're inside, it was truly a delight. We had the Jacksons playing some live music, which was just such a treat. And just so nice to see people and to commend all of you for doing your best to keep 6 feet apart, to keep your masks on, to show up and be present, even if you had to be a little distant. It was still a lovely feeling of community. So we're looking forward to more of that as soon as it is safe and in ways that any way we can do it creatively so that we can come together. Because the truth is, we are always a community. And this love that we feel for each other and for this philosophy doesn't change. We are who we are, and it's all good. So do remember, always, you are loved.